Um, I'm not going to talk to you today. Beyond the introduction, it's going to be a talk by two of our excellent digital experts. We're going to have Elle, who is head of paid media, and Tom, who's head of SEO, taking you through this presentation. But first, before we do that, I'd like to give you a bit of information on In Marketing We Trust, who we are, what we do. So next slide. So we're an award-winning online marketing agency, and we work with world-class e-commerce companies. So we're working in over 20 countries, and we're working with some household names that most people will know. So here in Australia, we do a lot of work with Mitre 10. We've worked with brands like Koala. We do a lot of work with Castlery, and then globally, we do work with Expedia and others as well. So next slide. In terms of what we do, there are three things, and it starts with measurements. So we do digital analytics, and we put analytics right at the heart of what we do, because it provides the insights that allow us to continually optimize performance. So in the measurement side of things, we look after tag management, digital analytics, data analysis. We do insight generation, reporting, dashboarding, visualization, and we train teams as well and marketers. So right now, an area that we're doing a lot of work in the measurement is migrating people from Universal Analytics to GA4. And with that comes a training component, because what we're finding is most marketers, or many marketers, aren't fully up to speed with GA4 and the new interface. So we're doing a lot of training around that. The next thing we do is growth. So we use insights from the data analytics, the measurement piece that I just talked about, to devise strategies and new ways to continually optimize your performance. So we do everything from large scale technical SEO, paid media, display, programmatic, social ads, YouTube ads, you name it, we do it. And then the final piece is optimization. So we use qual and quant data to continually improve performance for our customers. So that's everything from user behavior analysis through to conversion analysis, some split testing, and CRO. So again, that's work that we've got a lot of that work going on at the moment with brands that you would recognize. Next slide. So before I hand over to Elle, actually, just want to touch on questions. I'm sure that there's going to be a load of questions that get generated as we go through this. What I would ask is that you type those into the Q&A box that's available within your interface. And then when we get to the end, we will allow 5 minutes to answer some of those questions for you, okay? So without a delay, I'm going to hand you over to Elle.
All right, thanks, Paul. So hi, I'm Elle. I'm the paid media lead at In Marketing We Trust, and I'm based in Sydney. I have 9 years experience in paid media marketing.
And I'm Tom. I'm the SEO lead, also based in Sydney, and 8 years in overall digital marketing, with the past 4 kind of focusing on SEO and all the great stuff within there. So today we're talking about the Google free listings product. It's a really odd combination of a free organic style product offering that actually sits within the Google Shopping paid platform. So due to that, there's a bit of overlap between the SEO and the paid teams, which could kind of indicate the sign of what is to come in the market as different kind of e-commerce vendors and some of those bigger players decide what they want to use as their offering to the market. So I'd like to take you through a bit of the state of e-commerce, a couple of the big players in Amazon and Google. And then from there, Elle will take you through the product itself, a bit of a demonstration, how to set it up and how to optimize it for your business. And finally, at the end, I'll kind of tie a bow back on general best practices of e-commerce SEO and how that can kind of naturally help with the paid product itself. So I'm sure the majority of us have noticed the rise of online shopping in our personal and professional lives. But as good marketers, we always want to have some data to back it up. So there's a lot of it out there, broken up in a variety of ways. Just wanted to pull basically the broadest number we could. And the worldwide retail e-commerce sales have grown really rapidly over the past few years. And it's predicted to keep growing steadily year on year for the foreseeable future. Those black bars, we're talking about trillions of dollars. So there really is a big market out there for anyone who wants to get involved. And on top of that, the makeup of e-commerce as a percentage of total retail sales is increasing. So that's the important one. Over the last 6 years, e-com has almost doubled. From 2019 to the projected 2025, it's almost looking to double in the market share it makes up of those total retail sales. So this is looking worldwide, but it's also something we're seeing in our backyard. And if we look at the worldwide e-commerce sales, you can see it has a growth rate of 9.7% in the red bar down the bottom. And Australia is sitting at over double that with 20% so far in 2022. So these large-scale changes really emphasize the shift in the landscape and are telling businesses that they need to be in those places where their customers are researching as well as purchasing and where they're spending their time. So when we're talking about customers, the next slide, we know that more and more people are purchasing online, and those reasons can change depending on the market, depending on the consumer, but a lot of it comes down to some of these main factors. The biggest one is obviously the sheer amount of access we get from smartphones and portable devices and just the general internet access that's available to everyone. And it just means that that option to research and purchase exists at all times in our lives, and people are able to action it straight away. In the same vein as that, the need to be an online retailer isn't really a choice for anyone anymore. It's a necessity. So those options are more available for everyone to get there. To when you're searching, you're searching all the brands, you can find whatever you want, and those options are more available on that side as well. Some of the other main reasons, obviously convenience, being able to shop wherever you are on the go, the time saving that goes alongside that, the fact that you can price match in real time, look for those better deals on the product or related products to what you're looking for. And then also the much more recent phenomenon of needing to have those options that are contactless and you don't have to deal with crowds. On top of that, the availability to purchase online, there also has been a rise of more informed consumers. So 81% of consumers do research before purchasing, and that's online or in store. Higher cost products require over 2 months of consideration, and 80% want some level of personalization in that customer journey. So while the act of shopping online is easier, and the way for e-commerce sites to get online and cover the basics is easier, easy is not really enough anymore. Today's consumers are not really satisfied with sites that simply make it just possible to shop. The experience must be designed to kind of answer all your questions for all the different types of products you want to purchase. And again, that isn't discounting what is still going on the brick and mortar side of things, because even when we're looking at those numbers from the earlier graphs, that the e-commerce sales were making it up to 25%. That still leaves 75% that are purchases that are made at brick and mortar. So there's still a lot of work that can be done there. And because of that, you really got to think about what that means as a consumer. There are so many different ways for them to get to where they want. They can scroll the web, find a product, they can do some research online, then go in store and check it out, or they have any kind of range of different customer journeys, experiences they can go through with seeing things on social media, getting hit by paid ads, jumping on comparison sites, and crazy enough, sometimes people will just go straight to the website and purchase because they know exactly what they want. Now, with all those scenarios, that's a whole rabbit hole of what the future of online and brick and mortar and retailers and shoppers looks like, and it's not what we're getting into today. That's a much broader conversation, but it does kind of get you into that mindset for the context behind why the biggest retailers and marketplaces are making the decisions in the products they're offering, and help you know how to get into those right places and do the right things to get in front of your customers. If we ever mention e-commerce, you have to mention Amazon. They are a marketplace. They sell their own products. They sell other products. They make up 40% of overall online spending in the US. And alongside that, they've continued to build out this ecosystem of their own paid advertising product. And they just continue to grow in size, and that's in number of products they sell, type of advertising they offer, and to what countries they're actually offering that to. Now, anyone who's going to Amazon, they're normally that lower funnel type user compared to Google. They're more willing to buy product when they're on the site, not just go there to research, compare, then leave. And you would say that just as Google is the #1 go-to place for searching, Amazon is the same for that in overall e-commerce shopping. When we talk about Amazon, what that means in Australia, no, we don't match the 40%, but is projected to get to 20% of the total internet sales by 2026. And these are large percentages of huge trillion-dollar numbers that we're talking about. And we're not trying to compare Google and Google Shopping to what the product is and the experience at Amazon. We don't know where Google's going to go with everything, because you know they could try and take it on in the future. But at the moment, Google is just trying to make sure that people who are online for e-commerce purposes stay within its own ecosystem for as long as possible and get as much out of it. They know that this whole purchase cycle, from first bit of research to the final sale and all follow-up, it's a huge part of a reason why people are actually on the internet in the first place. So they just want to make this service and what they're offering to do as much as possible while making their money off the ads and the shopping platform. So what is Google's contribution to e-commerce? So the first instance of something that we can see today is traced back to 2002 with Frugal. This was a service that helped people search for products online, compare the features and prices. And back then, like most things, the product was free of charge. 2007 became Google Products. It was still free, but this was now available on the search engine's result page. And one of the interesting reasons behind that name change was due to the whole Frugal Google pun not necessarily translating that well across a lot of languages. And they just make sure with that and a lot of names in the future that they're just telling you with their product name exactly what they're kind of giving you. In 2012 is where it became Google Shopping. That stayed there. They wanted to make that a mainstay, so they always had it in their back pocket, but they didn't really do as much with it until 2019, when they really realized the potential and the size of the e-commerce sector and up the quality of the product to focus on the customer personalization and the ease of checkout to make it a more viable competitor for e-commerce. Again, we're not talking about direct competitor online retailers, but a competitor in the sense of they're going for the same attention of customers. This is obviously measured in impressions and clicks and ultimately sales, but it's trying to get in front of those people. So there was all this extra market share of customers and opportunities to get retailers into their shopping product overall. So how to maximize it? Google 2020 brought in free listings. So this is a big shift because it gave a lot of the small e-commerce brands a way they thought they could come in and compete against those major established brands. It has been a couple of years since it got introduced, but it's still, I would say, one of the most often misunderstood products in any kind of business's overall marketing mix, and oftentimes isn't even used or it's treated as a separate product. Some of this is because, similar to some of those other quote unquote free channels, such as business listings and organic social, it can be highly beneficial in getting more eyeballs on your brand and business, but it can also be quite time consuming and require its own separate research and resources. So over the years, to combat that, Google is still rolling out new features and going live in new countries and just making it a more valuable platform that can come with practical insights. So speaking of that, hopefully that kind of helped with getting that idea of the mindset of the kind of market and where this product offering is coming from. And now Elle's going to take us through the more practical parts of what it is, how to set it up, and how to use it.
Great. Thanks, Tom. So what are free listings? Free listings allow customers to see products from your store across Google. So products appear for free across the Shopping tab, YouTube, Google Search, Google Images, and Google Lens. So for example, on the Shopping tab here, paid shopping ads still appear, but beneath these are the free listings. So the big question, are free listings really free? It's a completely unpaid program. You don't need to pay for clicks or spend money for listings to be displayed, and free listings can be set up without running ad. But it's true what they say, nothing is ever really free. It takes time to set up, monitor, and optimize. Do you have the time to set these up and manage them? What would that time be otherwise spent doing? Also, there can be fees associated with generating and upkeeping the feed. And what channel do they belong to? In Marketing We Trust, we have paid media specialists who do everything ads related and SEO specialists who do everything organic related. Paid specialists have a leg up on using merchant centers from their experience running feed-based shopping and dynamic remarketing campaigns. However, the approach and optimization requires an SEO mindset to the delivery of results. So this requires a cross-channel capability, hence why Tom and myself are both presenting today. So free listings are powered by a Google Merchant Center inventory feed. There are a lot of policies and requirements to meet. They need to follow Google's policies for showing products in free listings, follow Google Shopping ad policies, and a link to your shipping policy needs to be in your Merchant Center account. So whilst an unpaid program, with all these requirements, you still want the ability to know what free listings are doing and how they are impacting your business. So with this in mind, we want 2 feeds set up so that optimizations can occur that work for the different requirements of ads and free listings. For example, what language is being used, what images, what tests are required to deliver the results. The first step is to create separate feeds for each channel, 1 feed for shopping ads, 1 feed for free listings. There are also free local listings and local inventory ads if you want to promote the stock you have in store, not online. And these also have their own requirements and policies to meet too. And you'll note there is also display ads for dynamic remarketing for retail, which again has specific policies. And you also need to pick a country of sale and language too. Step 2 is to ensure the feed is healthy and products are approved. Google will show diagnostics for ads and free listings at the item, feed, and account level. Typically, we aim for 98 to 99% approved. There can be many reasons for disapprovals, from missing data to not meeting a policy requirement. If there are disapprovals, it's important to consider how profitable those items are and the impact on your business of them being disapproved. The third step is to use promotion badges to increase engagement. Here we can see that traffic increased significantly when sale prices were added. This allows Google to provide more information in the listing, such as a price drop badge or a sale badge. Just to expand on this, the price is a required element of feeds. However, sale price is optional and can be added as a separate attribute. Doing so will provide more information to customers and allow Google to highlight the sale. I would highly recommend using this for sales, for free listings and paid listings, rather than just overriding the price attribute. So step 4, once you have your feed set up and ready to go, start to monitor performance to identify categories to test for free listing optimization. So I'm looking at traffic, market share, revenue, transactions. You can see in the graph here that impressions increased in the red line, indicating that the listings were being shown more often, but clicks decreased from a decrease in click-through rate, indicating that people were less engaged with the listing. And digging deeper, this came from 2 categories, outdoor and sofas, with sofas being a high priority category for the business. So this was a key focus area to work on. Just for comparison for paid, identifying the categories to optimize, I look at the product revenue and purchases and changes in this area, which will impact the optimization strategy and focus. Step 5 is to review the competitive visibility report, which will help you to compare visibility across shopping ads and free listings. At this current time, the report's currently limited to the following countries: Brazil, France, Germany, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. So, and note well, this is based on displayed impressions on product category level performance. To show you what this looks like, the competitor benchmark report covers various metrics, including relative visibility, which shows the number of times another merchant's products were shown relative to the number of times your products were shown. For example, if a merchant received 5% more impressions than you, their relative visibility would be 5%. Page overlap rate shows how often you and another merchant received impressions on the same page. And the ads/free ratio shows the fraction of ads and free impressions for a merchant. For example, if a merchant has 10 times more ad impressions than free impressions, the ratio is 10. Competitor price benchmarking is available in more countries and shows how others are pricing the same products you sell. So you can see if competitors are undercutting prices or if your prices are lower than the benchmark, and checking these reports can help you to identify if there's a pricing issue. So for example, lots of people are seeing your listings but not clicking on them because the price is significantly higher. So for testing and optimization, once I've identified the category to test and checked the competition, I complete the keyword research, execute the test, monitor and review, expand based on positive results or remove based on negative results, and identify a new test. So what are some of the things that you can test and optimize? One optimization is around language. To optimize for language, research the keywords that have the highest average monthly searches and check for trends. Is the way people searching significantly changing? Are you using language that is missing the audience? In Google's keyword planner, which is in Google Ads, keep in mind that's a tool for paid listings and the competition and bids reflect paid ads rather than free listings. So we can use it to get insights on what people are searching for and trends, but the competition here is separate to free listings. Also consider the location and how people speak locally. For example, an increase in people searching for sofas in the US may not reflect current trends in Australia. In this example, couches is the dominant language in the US and lounges is dominant in Australia. So the same title and description optimizations wouldn't work for both countries. They need to be tailored to the location that the listings are targeting. Part of the optimization should be around testing how product titles are structured. Here we have examples of different brands and what they're doing. What order are the descriptive elements in the title? Is the product name first? Is it last? Where does product type, color, and fabric sit? And what order will make the most sense when ads are displayed and match the most ways that people search? So you can do keyword research for this to help build the test to see what will drive the best results, and keeping in mind what the results are that you want to achieve. An important part of the listing is the image. So the image appears to potential customers in ads and free listings for your product. There is a main image, but multiple images can be added. You can test new images with the URL inspection tool to ensure that the images meet Google's requirements and clearly display the product being sold. The additional image link provides more images for your product beyond the main image you provide. Additional images for your product can appear to potential customers and are commonly used to show a product from different angles or with product staging elements. So that's some optimizations. And then to see how free listings are going, firstly, check the Merchant Center Performance Dashboard. In good news, conversion metrics are now available. You'll just need to link Google Analytics to the Merchant Center to view them. So secondly, once you've completed the linking of Google Analytics and the Merch Center to improve the reporting in analytics, you can also check analytics reports to see how organic shopping is performing against other traffic sources. So to link these, it's a feature called auto tagging, which links free listings to your Google Analytics account. Previously, this was only available for Google Ads, but is now available for all free listings on Google. And once set up, it automatically reports on conversion data in the Merchant Center and website traffic in analytics. So lastly, I look at this as an iterative process, identifying where to test, completing the research, implementing the optimization, monitoring and reviewing the reports, and then implementing the results, and then starting a new test. And I'll hand over to Tom now to discuss further from SEO.
Thanks, Elle. So looking at that life cycle and some of the things Elle went through with possible where the keyword research goes and building on that and optimizing, some of the work that's already ongoing for SEO should be able to help this product as much as possible. So before getting into those specific tactics, I know there's a lot of people from different types of businesses and disciplines, so I'll give a quick sub 3-minute crash course in the theory of SEO. So when we talk about SEO, it generally breaks down into 4 main categories, which is technical, content, on-site, and off-site. We see technical SEO as always being our #1 point of view where to start, because in order for search engines to show your web pages in search results, they need to be able to find, crawl, and index your pages. So when we're talking about fixing your technical SEO health, it breaks down to making sure that everything you want to be visible on your website is visible. The site itself is working quickly and smoothly, and the overarching structure of your pages are understandable and relative in their priority to your business goals. Once that technical work in place, we go into the content. Content is basically anything that they can find on your page. It's the backbone of a lot of the SEO work, and it includes all text, images, videos, PDFs, and so much more. But search engines are going to extract the meaning from those web pages based on that content that's on it and how that matches up with user intents and their actions. So the main things to keep in mind here are making sure that your pages are high quality and unique in regards to your competitors, and also unique in regards to the other pages on your website. Making sure that it's relevant to what users are searching for and what they are looking for, and they're not always the same thing. And finally, that the content is recent. So it's fresh to search engines and information isn't out of date for users. When we talk about on-site, it's based on specific sections on your pages, which are those main elements of how they're seen by users and search engines. These are page titles, your descriptions, heading tags, your alt text, internal links, and structured data. So in short, working on these aspects is just following specific best practice guidelines provided by search engines in order to optimize them. Seems very, very easy, right? Well, in reality, that comes down to a lot of backing research, as well as understanding the constant shifting of the guidelines and the rule books, which often provide to us with vague and really conflicting messaging. So really getting to the bottom of that and working through those to make the content as best as it can be. The last one is offsite. So this is any actions that are taken outside your website. So such as links that link back to your site, and they impact your rankings within the search engine result page. So this comes down to how popular your website's seen in terms of authority, the trust of the information on it, and how relevant it is to its purpose. So there's my 3-minute SEO understanding everyone should be an expert now, and feel free to come and take my job. So using those kind of thought process and that kind of theory behind it, and getting to in that really competitive e-commerce space, it is tough, but the overall working towards those goals that's already happening based on those principles is going to help across all platforms you're working on. And this free listings is no different. But there are some points of emphasis that you can focus on. So when we talk from a technical standpoint, one thing to note is that obviously there's a lot of different CMSs out there, and you can't just change overnight, but you really want to look into the one you're using and see how you can best align that to automate getting some of this information off your site and onto other feeds. So there's varying difficulty and limitations, but some of them, such as Shopify and Webflow, actually integrate quite easily and can automatically sync your inventory information with the shopping feeds. Also making sure in general that the pages that people are landing on, they're efficient, they work well, they work fast, and they're also easy to navigate from where they're landing to where they want to go. Stopping those kind of bounce rates and people leaving the site is going to send those positive signals to Google that they had a good experience on the site, and making you more likely to show up in those free listings in the future. So the content and on-site work, they go hand in hand, because unlike traditional SEO, when you're really breaking it down a lot between them, the majority of this work on the optimizations, it's not going to happen on the site. It's going to come from work you've done on the site, but it's all put into your Google shopping feed. This isn't going to change the art of creating that keyword-rich content, designing a user-friendly website, and optimizing those site elements like page titles and URLs. That's always going to be beneficial to users, to search engines, and in part of any product feed. So there might be some differences in how people search on the shopping tab compared to how they search when they go to paid ads, and how they search when they land on organic results. But you should already have some of that relevant research ready to go to start building your feed and how people in your target market are liking to search. Once you've got that set up, you can work through some of those optimizations mentioned by Elle earlier, and changing the product title structure, using that kind of how to set up your images and what other people are doing in the market there, and really utilizing all the data you've already got to move forward and then start doing some testing. So on top of all that, where content can be really important and where it is a big thing in e-commerce in general, is because you've got in lots and lots of products on your sites that might have slight variations by those different identifiers, is making sure that your product titles, URLs, descriptions, they are unique. And that's going to help avoid any kind of duplication issues or cannibalization, which will impact the way your site is indexed and shown, but also in a product feed, how they're going to show up for different searches if they all don't have those differentiators in the name. The last bit for offsite, the main relevant point here is making sure you've got those positive reviews, you've got that interaction with your customers. So when people are seeing you on the feed, you're getting those good star ratings, and it's helping users decide to pick you and your product over what a competitor has out there. So making sure that that's up to date and up to scratch. So what this all comes down to is these main list of variables that all act as the performance indicators and influencers that will determine how well you perform in free listings. As you can see through a lot of these, they're already things that should be involved in your day-to-day work, whether you're in SEO or paid. And you can also see there are lots of major overlaps across both channels. So we should be able to utilize the research and the results that you've gotten across these historically and as you move forward from both channels, and kind of work together to maximize those insights. As I mentioned at the start, this could be a sign of things to come, of really getting that cross-channel engagement and working together to make sure that any kind of information and results you're getting, you can use multiple times in multiple places. And this platform, we believe, gives a real opportunity to use the existing principles of those channels and blend them in a way that we can take those insights from each and work together to get towards that overall business goal. Thank you. Any questions?
Excellent. Thank you, Tom. And thank you, Al. A few questions have come in, so I'm going to go through some of those questions. The first one, we're going to start with the short one, is from an anonymous attendee, and it's simply, is there a criteria to be eligible for this Google service?
So I'd say you have to have an e-commerce or a retail website with the shipping policy as the sort of two main requirements. So a website with some sort of checkout on it. Yeah, there's a few policies around shipping. So how much does it cost? How long will it take? That sort of information needs to be on the website. Yeah, and they're the basic things of what you need. And then your product data, so photos of the product, the price, that sort of thing.
Perfect. Thank you very much. And this one is quite a long one. If we can't answer it here, Philip, we'll take this one offline. But the first one is that Philip is using a standard feed from Shopify to Merchant Center. Is there a way to tell Google to only taking part of the product description, because some of the product descriptions are too long and they're being disapproved because there's too many characters? So would you create the product listing differently? Yeah, I think that's the main part of the question. So how do you deal with product listings that are too long on a automated feed?
Yeah, the descriptions are really important because that's part of how Google displays the listings and the words in the description, matching them to people's searches. So I'd probably approach this with, a bit of a test and maybe trying feed rules in the Google Merchant Center. So rather than changing the descriptions on the website or trying to do a new feed or something like that, is building out a description in the Merchant Center using feed rules, taking the different elements of all of those data points, and then perhaps seeing what sort of results you're getting from there, and if it's worth investing more time into changing those descriptions.
Great, thank you very much. And another one from Philip as well. This may be a bit too specific for this forum, but we've got an issue of global the GTIN barcodes. So sometimes they're not being used, not being picked up by Google. So we're finding that sometimes Google does not accept the barcode that's actually on the product. Is that a widespread issue? Have we seen it before? What's your view on that one, Al?
Yeah, I've seen this with retailers previously. It is definitely an issue, and Google's not very clear on, which GTIN you need to use from which country for which products. So it can be, quite a tedious, manual way of getting those GTINs. I have seen it before where scripts are used to scrape the GTINs from different sources. It's not 100% because it's automated, but that can be a way to get it set up, especially if you've got thousands of products to get all of those GTINs for.
Thank you. And the last question before we wrap up is, how can you differentiate paid and organic listings? Tom, I think you covered some of that. Do you want to just do a quick recap?
Yeah, so depending on the way you're asking this, so with paid and organic listings, if you're talking about differentiating where you see them, they show up in different places. Organic listings aren't getting shown on your SERP. They're just getting shown where you're in that shopping tab and lower placed. And so that the paid are always going to get primary focus. They're always going to be seen first and seen as the way that paid search works. It's the same kind of question there. If you're talking about how do you tell the results and how it's going. You can actually, in GA4, it comes up as organic shopping as a separate channel. So you can see how those are performing on your side, as well as within when it's not as broken down within the merchant center. So yes, it is still worth pursuing paid listings. This is seen as a supplementary, like a complementary product to paid listings, that if you've already got your merchant feed set up for your paid, you should be then just creating an organic one that's similar in the same kind of vein. It's just an extra part to go in your marketing strategy, rather than to take away from paid in the same way you'd say organic, and you wouldn't be taking away from your paid search.
Perfect. And just one more point on that one. Is it even worth pursuing paid listings? I would say absolutely yes. The data obviously changes between different e-commerce websites, but typically the organic is contributing anywhere between 1% and 5% on a well-optimized campaign. So there's huge potential for you to be doing the paid stuff. So if your free listings are going very well, I would strongly encourage you to move towards paid if you're not doing them, because there's a big gain by doing that. So unfortunately, we don't have time for the last question. Philip, maybe we can reach out to you to answer that one direct. So I just want to thank everyone for attending this evening and giving up your time. Hopefully you got some valuable insights from the team here. We will be sharing this presentation with you. So you'll have signed up. We have your email. This video will go on to our website with a transcript, and that will be sent to you. So thank you for your time, and we look forward to seeing you at the next event. So have a good evening, everyone. Bye-bye.